new setup today because I want to. I'm working on a tune, and I thought it might be fun to let people be the fly on the wall as I build this, so you can see how I come up with my nonsense. And I also want to address something about where music comes from, basically. I mean, as far as I got someone left a comment on I think it was on the video that I did about making Billie Jean that said Michael stole the bass line from Daryl Hall for I Can't Go For That. And so I alerted the media right away, and it's going to be a huge scandal. No, it's not a huge scandal. He didn't steal anything. It's a bass line. It's not I Can't Go For That. I mean, people are influenced by things they hear, and music builds on other music, and it's always been that way. Here's something you can alert the media from. Beethoven did not write the melody to the Ode to Joy in the fourth movement of his Ninth Symphony. That was a piece that he adapted and developed in his own way. That's what composers do. Stravinsky didn't write the opening tune to his Rite of Spring. It's a Russian folk song. So, I mean, it's what composers do. They develop a melody, they take a theme and they develop it. And great artists never borrow, they steal, you know? So there's out and out thieving, and nobody really cares because everybody knows that we're just working with 12 notes in Western music, and there's going to be similarities, and things are going to get repeated, and people are going to influence each other, and that's how music develops. Is people listening and say, "Oh, I like that," and either consciously or subconsciously building on it. This is what Miles had to say about that. This is Miles talking about hanging out with Jimi Hendrix. He and Hendrix were friends. And they were both living in New York. And Jimi would come over and hang out with Miles. And he said, I'd play him a record of mine or Coltrane's and explain to him what we were doing. Then he started incorporating things I told him into his albums. It was great. He influenced me and I influenced him, and that's the way great music is always made. Everybody showing everybody else something and then moving on from there. I'll take his word for it. So this song incorporates a lot of thievery, right? Because how am I going to make anything original? You know, I mean, it can't be entirely original. Everything builds on what's come before it. And like I said, there's 12 notes, all right, from C to B. That's 12 notes. There's major, there's minor, there's modes. You know, chord progressions get reused all the time. In jazz, there's been 1,000 songs written on the chord changes to Gershwin's "I Got Rhythm." So many so that musicians just call them rhythm changes. So you can just, if you've got a tune that you've used that same chord progression, then you tell the guys rhythm changes, F, and boom, count it off, and away you go. You know, the theme from the Flintstones is rhythm changes. So chord changes, bass lines, they don't make a song. That's not the song. The song is melody, lyrics, that kind of thing. Those things, I'm not a copyright lawyer, but, you know, don't tell me that Michael stole the bass line from Daryl Hall. He didn't steal anything. He whatever. I've made that point. I want to show you. This is one method that I use to write music, and it's just one, because sometimes the inspiration might start with a fragment of a melody, and I'll develop that. Or it might come from a chord progression. In this case, it was something rhythmic. So it came, that was the first thing that inspired me. It's like that thing where I use Sly's hocketing technique. That was something that also just started out just with a riff that I improvised. And a lot of times, if I go looking for something like this, I won't find it. You have to kind of like just be fooling around and out of the corner of your eye, or when you're least expecting it, you're going to play something, and then if you go, oh wait, that's kind of cool, you find something that you might develop. And that's just one way out of many to skin the cat of writing music. And I used to, when I was younger, I used to think that you had to wait for inspiration, but a lot of times you can't. You have to write on demand. Willie Nelson said, if you can't write on demand, you're not really a songwriter. And he's right, because people say we need a song for this film, or we need a song for this or with that. You can't say, well, yeah, give me about 6 months. No, you have to come up with it right away. So one method, just one out of many that I use, is to, if I don't have anything in mind, then I'll find something and build a foundation. I'll build a house that the song will live in, and that can be just a chord progression, I just fool around with chords or whatever. I might be inspired by a melody. I might get a fragment of a melody. I might hear something in my head when I'm driving down the road. So, I mean, it's best not to tie yourself into put yourself into a box where this is how you do it. But this is one method that I've used a lot of times, is you just build the foundation, and then when you've got it, like this is, right now I've got a foundation for this thing that I can find the next part, figure out where it goes from it, And I've got some nice chord changes, and I'm going to figure out what to do with this thing. And you'll hear the results on this channel. This is what happened with this thing. It comes from just a lick I found myself playing. Basically close to that. And I had been I've been re-listening to Hendrix's, speaking of Hendrix, I've been re-listening to Band of Gypsies, right? And then later in that tune, he's going, so I wind up, and it's just mostly subconsciously. I'm not saying how can I rip that off, it's just like, I made it simpler. Instead of the full triads, I'm just going. And I wound up developing that into a groove, And I thought, well, that's repetitive. Well, the fourth time can go the other way. So, And then I also had this Stevie Wonderism. Yes, I'm stealing this from Stevie Wonder, who stole it from Chick Corea. The whole band will play that. And at first I was doing that every 2 bars, but then it got to be too repetitive. I was going like, and the bass will be playing that. But I haven't put the bass in it yet. And this, all of this came about is I was programming. I'm getting to know a new synthesizer, appropriately named the Moog Muse, and it inspired me because I first started playing this this lick when I was trying to recreate this sound. On the Muse. This sound here, you hear me play this all the time. It's a sound I created for the Synapse Legend HC, which started out as a mini Moog emulation, but it really doesn't sound much like a mini Moog. But it's a cool instrument in its own right. You got to take synthesizers for what they are, and it doesn't matter that it doesn't actually sound that much like a mini Moog, because it's gotten to be its own thing. But it's very expressive, and I programmed this sound to explore the limits of touch sensitivity. If I could get it where maybe if I play it too soft, you can't even hear it, like a piano. You know, you play a piano and you're trying to get that full range, and you may not get, the hammer might not get all the way up to the string. You know, if you go too soft, you'll miss one. And that's been one of my weaknesses as a piano player is that that range of ultra softness. So I programmed that into synthesizers to work on that. And I've gotten pretty close with the Muse here. And the Muse has got some amazing capabilities as far as where you can send the velocity control. This sound is not finished, but it will be, and it's the synthesizer will be the subject of videos to come. I'm just getting used to it now. Okay, but back to this thing. So I've got this. I'm going to turn it into a tune. Then I came up with a turnaround. That's a flat 7, 6/9 chord. That's a C with A flat. It's A flat with C in the bass, and then the flat 7, and then back up. So that's the turnaround. It's another Stevie Wonder-ism. Thanks, Steve. Whatever. So that's not a full bridge. It's more like a turnaround, and it just breaks it up. So, and right now, as I'm speaking to you, this song doesn't have a final form because I'm developing it with, I'm talking too much. I just go back, let you be the fly on the wall. You can just watch me do it. But what I did before I got the idea of maybe I should let you guys in on this, I started laying it down in my DAW, which is I use Ableton Live, and I've got the Legend. That's the only thing that's happening here with my touch sensitive sound on it. And then for some reason I thought that I wanted to hear an LM1 with this, so I bought this VPROM 3. It's a Lin emulation, and it's actually pretty cool. So I programmed a beat in it, and I'll let you hear that. Let me mute the Legend, and let me just play that. Just simple. I had that beat, and then I put down the keyboard. So there, that's all I've got. Oh no, I've got an intro too. In the intro, I stole again from. This is just I'm confessing to a series of crimes here. I stole this intro from Creedence Clearwater's "Fortunate Son," and John Fogerty would probably tell you that he stole it from a million country songs, because there's probably not a pedal steel player in the world that hadn't played these chords. This is going to be the intro. So, maybe we have, you know, a lot of thieving going on. Let's add some bass to this thing. I'm kind of feeling like a mini Moog. All right, stop everything. I've discovered an enormous flaw in the audio setup. I'll spare you all the technical details, except hopefully it's been corrected now, and hence the headphones. Things have been readjusted. I would have fired the individual responsible, but then there wouldn't be anybody here. Here's what you missed, though, is not a lot. I dialed in a bass sound on the Mini Moog plugin and laid down the bass on all the parts. Here's I'll play a little bit of each. And again, this is not the ideal way to have the sound. It's all being recorded direct to camera right now. Here's what the intro sounds like with bass. I won't play the whole thing. It works for me. I like the bass sound with all of this. All right. Hoo-yah! Booyah! And then the main groove got some bass. I'm kind of liking this. It's getting there. I don't know where it's going, but it's getting there. Here's the turnaround with some bass. Yeah, ain't nothing but party, y'all. This is an accident. I didn't really intend for this turnaround to be played twice in a row, but I did that, and now I'm starting to think that might be a good structure for this. I don't know. Not 3 times in a row. Stop. What are you done? Here's the full-on bridge with the bass. Again, it's not meant to repeat. And what else do I have? I did, I put down a couple of ideas, melodic ideas this morning. I don't know if I'm going to keep them, and I don't know if it's going to be a vocal thing or maybe a talk box or what. And all of this is going to be subject to change, because right now I consider this the demo phase, and all of the sounds that I'm putting down are subject to change or augmentation. The LM1 drum machine, I'm liking it on this. It's a nice nostalgic early 80s feel with those drums. But I might try adding in some more realistic drums, just like Sly used to do with adding his, Greg Errico or Andy Newmark to the rhythm ace. Because one of the things you find out is you might start a track with a drum machine like this, intending to have a live drummer all along, but then when you add in those drums and you go to take the drum machine out, something feels like it's missing, and you find out that the goofy sounding drum machine is kind of the glue that holds the whole thing together. Here's a melodic idea for the one part of it. And for the other. I'm kind of liking it now. Could be a vocal there, Don't mind me, I don't mind. Yes, you do. Enough is too much. But this gives you an idea of how I come up with my nonsense. And one thing I don't know if I pointed out before, I use the I always get it mixed up. I use Ableton has two views, and I use the session view pretty much exclusively. And the other one, the long one, should be called arrangement view, because session view is where I arrange things. Because if you look up at the upper right-hand corner, these are what Ableton calls scenes. And so to have the most control over being able to move things around, if I want to have the intro come back later, if I want to have, if I want to have let the bridge repeat or whatever, that's why I record it in just bits and pieces. And then I can adjust the arrangement real easily without doing a lot of cutting and pasting and fooling around, because all I have to do is just click on one of these and then off you go, right? And then go to the turnaround. There it is, right? Now maybe you want to come back in with the melody right here. Give me the bridge, y'all. Don't have any melody for this. I haven't tried that yet. Just, I like that chord. All right, that's enough of that. I'm gonna keep on working on it, obviously, because this is like the demo, and I'll keep polishing it. I don't know when, but if you have subscribed, which I hope that you have, and if you're interested, and if you like watching me do this kind of nonsense, stay tuned for the finished version of this. Because actually, I'm liking this groove, and it might yield something interesting. And it's a whole lot of thieving going on, but that's, like Miles said, that's just, we all learn from each other, and that's how music gets made. It all builds on everything else. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Arrivederci, sayonara, ciao. And see you the next time. Hasta luego.